to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking to my ball. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good evening, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you tonight? And thank you for listening to the post-game wrap-up show here at DolphinsTalk.com. I am your host, Michael Leva. On this Sunday, November 24th, the Miami Dolphins had their third victory in a row, 34-15 over the New England Patriots. And I am here with Tom Ernest to break it down. Tom, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. It was a great Sunday. It seemed like the day flew by, and the Miami Dolphins absolutely obliterated the Patriots. I know what the score says. That's not really the full story of how this game unfolded. It was a great performance, a much needed performance heading into a major game on Thursday night on Thanksgiving.
Yep, the Dolphins have crawled themselves mostly out of this hole, and they're on the verge of at least getting back to 500, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about today's game. But before we get to any of that, a quick word from our sponsor.
The DolphinsTalk.com podcast network is sponsored by Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, the Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a birthday gift, or the newest hat to hit the market of your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive, Davie, Florida, Caneswear has it all. Not in South Florida? No worries. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home, and they'll ship it to you. International fans, too. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com, Caneswear.com.
Okay, before we get into today's game, Tom, we got to remind people, if you're renting a car, don't go to Sixt, S-I-X-T. Use anyone but Sixt. This war isn't over. Might not be over for a while, but we will remind you in every show, Sixt rental car sucks. Okay, some inactives. No surprise inactives for this game.
Nope.
That's good. The only real injury concern was Anthony Walker left the game with a hamstring injury. Probably safe to say he won't play Thursday with a short week. We'll see here how long he will be out. Unsure there. And hopefully Kendall Fuller, who was inactive today, not a shock because that was known in advance, might be ready to play Thursday. We'll see against the Packers. That's probably the only guy that him and Walker are the only two guys to really keep an eye on here, I would think. And Walker's unlikely. Kendall Fuller's a maybe. So we'll keep an eye on that. But, Tom, your thoughts overall on today's game against the Patriots?
Well, it is continued dominance of the New England Patriots. The Miami Dolphins continue this, I believe, is back-to-back seasons of beating the New England Patriots, sweeping them, so to speak. And Tua Tagovailoa is now a career 7-0 as the starting quarterback against the New England Patriots as well. So it is nice to see the script flipped as New England dominated the Dolphins for about 20 years. Let's be real. I know Dolphins split with them from time to time, but Tom Brady still took our lunch money most of the time. But this is continued dominance over a division opponent. Now the focus shifts to Thursday night in a massive game against, yes, it's an NFC team, but this is a game where the Miami Dolphins has the opportunity to get to 500, which, go back, Mike, a month ago, we were firing everybody, looking forward to the draft and everything else. And now we're focusing on, if this team can get to 500, they truly are in the mix for the playoffs. Now, obviously, things have to go their way in the conference with teams above them. Obviously, the teams that are also below them fighting with them for that playoff spot as well. But they need to continue to handle their business. After the Packers, you get the stinking Jets. And who knows what's going to be happening with the Jets at the time that game takes place, because they're a mess. But again, dominant performance from the offense. The defense, I thought, played very well, albeit maybe a couple plays here and there that were very head-scratching, particularly the 4th and 15 play, which we'll get into when we get through the game. But overall, Mike, from start to finish, this was probably the most complete game that the Dolphins have played in 2024 from offense, defense, and special teams. And now we look ahead and hope for the best on Thursday night.
Yeah. Miami dominated in every aspect of this game, as they should have, because the Patriots in 2024 are a non-competitive team, much like the Raiders were last week. And I know the score got somewhat close late, but New England was never really a threat in this game to ever take the lead or anything like that. And nobody beats up on bad teams like Mike McDaniel and Tua. They have a knack of just, drubbing bad teams. And they did that today, which they should do. That's not a knock. That's a compliment. Take care of business versus the teams you should. And now Miami has won 3 in a row and set themselves up to have a chance to make the playoffs, to have a chance to kill the narrative that they can't win in cold weather, to have a chance to kill the narrative they can't win big games late in the year, to have a chance to kill the narrative they can't beat good teams. Miami has given themselves a chance with this 3-game winning streak. Thursday night, we are going to learn if the Miami Dolphins can kill some narratives or if they're the same old Dolphins. The offensive line today and the running game overall wasn't great. It'll have to be better on Thursday. But aside from that, everything else Miami did today was outstanding. Tua was out there throwing darts. Waddle and Janu Smith were catching everything in sight. Achane has become a huge factor in the passing game. Chop Robinson is blossoming right before our eyes each and every week. The veterans and the leaders on this team, they're playing well. The rookies and the younger players are playing well. The Miami Dolphins right now are playing a high level of football. I know the past 2 opponents aren't very good, but I want them to look great versus teams that aren't very good. That's a sign that they might be pretty good once the opponents are good. And we're going to learn Thursday a lot about this team. And we're going to learn if the past few weeks were just, we always beat up on the teams that are bad, or we're going to learn if this team has matured, improved, grown, and they're ready to win big games late in the year versus good teams. That's what we're going to learn Thursday. But today was almost a perfect day for the most part. I mean, not much to complain about, Tom.
Not at all. We can always nitpick, find things that we want to complain about, but honestly, there really isn't anything to really complain about outside of the injury to Anthony Walker, which could sting. But Tyrell Dotson comes in, plays some snaps in the second half, gets a turnover, so gets an interception, I should say. So at the end, they have good depth. The defensive line play has become much better. The pass rush is, like you said, it's blossoming in front of our eyes. Even with no Jaylen Phillips, Chop Robinson has taken the role, and in the last 4 or 5 games, he has become an absolute menace against opposing offensive tackles, and even in the situations where he's lining up in the A gaps, he's causing issues up front in the middle. So Chop has come into his own, which has really elevated the defensive play, forcing the quarterbacks to make quicker decisions with the football, with errant throws. They're getting sacks. They're intercepting. They're deflecting passes. The defense is starting to really pin their ears back for the most part, but they can do that when the offense is humming along. And today was one of those days where the offense just couldn't be stopped, particularly through the air. Tua was dissecting that New England Patriots secondary all game long. And they do have a stud corner in Christian Gonzalez. Kyle Duggar is not anything to blink an eye at either. They have good players on that side of the ball. Tua, and for the first time since week 1, Jaylen Waddle came to life, and it was a tremendous job across the board. Very excited, but now we get to talk about Green Bay here in a couple minutes, Mike.
Yeah, I did a couple crossover podcasts this week with some people who, excuse me, who cover the Patriots. And I was very honest with them. I go, guys, you overmatched, and they knew it too. They're not like insane. They knew they were overmatched in this game, and they're like, yeah, we know. It's like I look at that roster in May. I think May's going to be a very good player. I actually think he's going to be a pain in the neck for Miami for years to come. It just wasn't this year. Once they give him like an offensive line and some wide receivers, I think he'll be pretty good. But outside of May and Christian Gonzalez, who on that team is really any good? And I mean, their offensive line's a disaster. They got a couple tight ends who are okay, I guess, but their wide receivers put fear into nobody. And on the other side of the ball, they're just awful on defense. I think they're awful on defense. I don't even think they have that much talent outside of 1 or 2 players. And I think their coaching staff is a lot of growing to do there. So they're, it's year 1 of a rebuild for them. So it is what it is. They know that, we know that, everyone knows it. But Miami went out there pretty much from the start and just put their foot on their throat and never took it off. And that's what you want your team to do. Again, they didn't make many mistakes. They shouldn't against a team like this. And just like versus the Raiders last week, they should dominate in those games. But now we see the Packers are 8-3. Okay, they're for real. It's Lambeau Field. It's at night. Thanksgiving. It's going to be cold. Again, kill some narratives. And if you listen to the post-game interviews from some of the players in the Dolphins, including our quarterback, he mentioned, he used the term exactly that I used. Kill some narratives. And he has a chance. Now, look, they said this prior to week 2 when they played the Bills, and they pooped their pants. They didn't kill any narratives then. So talk is cheap. It's really cheap. I don't want to hear it this week from McDaniel. Talk is cheap. They got to go out there and actually perform versus one of these quality teams and get a win. Because this is the stuff we heard at the start of the year, and they just didn't show up then. So we'll see now, though. They're as healthy as they've been in a while. They're playing as well as they played all season. And it's going to be interesting Thursday night. Look, we have a chance. I still don't think it's a great chance because even though, and we'll talk about this later, Indianapolis lost today, they still got to play the Patriots. They still got to play the Giants. They still got to play Jack. I mean, they got some non-competitive teams on their schedule that even they're just going to win, even if the games are close. And then you got a team like the Broncos, whose schedule is a little bit tougher, which, again, we'll talk about later. They're 2 games in front of Miami, I believe. So it's going to be tough, but the fact that we're here, Tom, talking about Thanksgiving night, having a meaningful game, we'll all take it.
Absolutely. Like I said, a month ago, we were screaming from the rooftops to throw the towel in, the season's over. I would like to eat some crow, Mike. I want to eat as much crow as possible that I was wrong in saying that the season was cooked.
Well, hold on. Don't say that yet, because if we lose this one and then get blown out again, then
of course.
You might.
But like I said, I want to eat crow.
Yeah,
I want to
want
eat
to.
It.
Not
so
yet.
I want to.
Yeah.
But we still have to get through Thursday. And, if they can get through the Packers on Thursday, they have a mini bye week before they go back home to play the Jets, who are in complete shambles. So
I'd rather play Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor right now.
Tyrod Taylor scares me because he always does things to the Dolphins.
Exactly. I'd rather play Rodgers. I don't think we are, but I'd rather play him.
Yeah, I think the only game that he played meaningful minutes against the Dolphins recently, where I think it was the Giants game in 22 when Daniel Jones went out with injury, that Tyrod Taylor was a backup and he didn't.
That was the game we went to the casino, I think, to watch, right? And I won all that money that day.
No, that was 2021. They played them at home again in 2022.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I know it was one of those games versus Giants. I won a ton of money.
One of those 2 games.
Yeah, because it was a ton of money I won that day. I go, Tom, don't say a word because we got a long walk to the parking lot and there's some shady people here. Just keep your mouth shut. We got to get out the door. That was a good day. Good day today, too. SMU yesterday. Miami, little 2-team parlay. I cashed him big. I love it.
Get him, boy.
14.
All right. Let's get into today's game. The Dolphins won the toss. They deferred. Jason Sanders kicks it off for a touchback. The Patriots go 3 and out. Dolphins get not great field position from the 17-yard line, but it starts with a Tua pass to Janu Smith for an 11-yard gain and a first down. After a 7-yard run from Devon Achane, the drive stalls out on 3rd and 2. Tua throws incomplete to Janu Smith, and Jake Bailey punts it 51 yards. Well done, Jake Bailey.
Who's Jake Bailey? Oh, that's right.
I don't know. I guess they just signed him recently because they haven't been punting. The Patriots, though, get the ball at their 13-yard line and take a 12-play, 60-yard drive, 7 minutes and 26 seconds, ending in no points as the drive stalled out at the Dolphins' 27-yard line, and a field goal that hit the right upright kept the game scoreless. But on this drive, the Patriots did what they wanted to do. Drake May used his legs. Ramondre Stevenson had some big gains on the ground. Penalties really hurt the Patriots here. They had it 2nd and 6 from the Dolphins' 20-yard line, and a holding penalty knocked them back to make it 2nd and 16. And then after a 3-yard run and by Ramondre Stevenson on 3rd and 16, the field goal hits the right upright. Mike, the Dolphins caught a break, and they made the Patriots pay with it.
Yeah, we don't catch a lot of breaks. It seems like luck's never on our side. We actually caught a break here where the ball hit the upright and went out. So that's kind of cool for us to catch a break there, especially on special teams, which has been a sore spot for us for many years here.
Yeah. So they made him pay. Like I said, 8-play, 65-yard drive, 3 minutes, 57 seconds off the clock, starting with a 12-yard completion to Janu Smith, and then a completion to Jaylen Waddle for 24 yards. From the 29 of New England, Tyreek Hill gets his first reception for 10 yards. Achane went for no gain. Tua to Janu Smith for 7. On 3rd and 3, a neutral zone infraction for the 2nd consecutive week. The Dolphins line up like they were going to run a play as time was running down, and a player jumped off sides, and that ended the first quarter. On the flip side, to begin the second quarter, no gain by Janu Smith on a carry. Tua goes incomplete to Odell Beckham Jr. Great pass breakup on that play by Christian Gonzalez. But on 3rd and goal, they had no answer for Janu Smith running freely over the middle, and Tua finds him for a 7-yard touchdown, and it is 7-0 Miami. The Dolphins posted a video of Mike McDaniel making fun of Max Crosby. We didn't have a play. And you kind of saw it again after the Patriots player jumped off sides on the hard count. Tua and pretty much the entire offense were pointing and laughing at the opposing player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many more times that'll work, but it's worked a couple times here recently at South Miami. But really, Janu Smith is a story, and I know we're going to talk about him a lot here today. He has been better than advertised. He's been fantastic for the Miami Dolphins of late, just all over the place. And what's the stat? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to share a stat with you. So, Janu Smith, when he was with the Patriots for 2 seasons, that's not too long ago. He played 2 seasons in New England. 1 year, he had 28 receptions. 1 year, he had 27 receptions. Today, Janu Smith in the first half had 7 receptions. And for the game, he had 9. He had literally like a third of the receptions in one game today versus his old team than he did the entire time in each season he was with the Patriots. That's how little they used him. And, to have 7 receptions in the first half here, he got his 1 touchdown. They have 9 for the whole game. He has just been outstanding.
Absolutely. After the touchdown, the Patriots get the ball at the 30-yard line, and it started with a -6-yard gain by Ramondre Stevenson on a play that never got started. Jordan Brooks with a phenomenal play to put him behind the sticks. And after a incomplete pass from Drake May on 3rd and 16, Drake May was sacked for a 9-yard loss by none other than number 44, Chop Robinson. Mike, he continues to impress, especially in these pass rushing situations. He's just throwing tackles back into the quarterback, and he's able to get a sack there.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten just each week he gets better and better and better. And I know early, fans on social media are freaking crazy, and they have no patience. And he's a bust. He's Charles Harris 2.0. Like, guys, he's played 4 games. He's played 5 games. Give him time. And you've seen a little bit of time. He gets better week after week after week. He's still got a long way to go. He still has to do He still has to improve when he has to set the edge first to run and stuff. But as a pass rusher, he is dominant. He's in the backfield a lot, even if it's not a sack. He is, causing havoc to let other people get sacks and stuff. So Chop Robinson's going to be just fine in Miami, just fine. And anyone who, that's why I always say you got to give any rookie more than 4 or 5 games. These guys don't walk in the NFL and become stars overnight. It's just they need time. And Chop is, he's a keeper, Tom. He is a keeper.
Absolutely. And he only gets better when there is additional pass rushers on the opposite side that can cause fear into opposing offensive coordinators, a.k.a. Healthy Jaylen Phillips and possibly even Bradley Chubb. I still don't think he's playing this year, but
no, I mean, I don't even want him at this point.
I
don't even want him at this point. He can only make things worse. He can't come in and help things at this point because these are the guys who have been here all training camp, all season. They've been through the wars. I don't want some guy to show up the last month of the year and no, screw you. You're not his fault. He's hurt. I'm not saying it like that way. No, just sit out. We don't need you at this point. This is our team. Let's not upset the apple cart.
Yeah. Someone in our chat says Chop gets held on virtually every play.
A lot.
They finally called a holding penalty again for Chop Robinson.
He does. Well, first off, this is a bad game to judge yet because the Patriots have no tackles at all. But even in some of the more recent games, he's a guy because of his first step who's going to get held if he gets leverage on a guy. He's been absolutely outstanding to go pretty much all these games because Jaylen Phillips only played like a few games before he got hurt again. They pretty much lose him and Chubb for the whole season, essentially. Chop has stepped up huge. Agba's been great. Campbell, who we'll talk about later in the show with everything going on with him, he's been great at his age. Their pass rush is pretty dang good for missing those two. Let's just call it what they are, superstars for pretty much the entire season.
Yeah. After the punt by the Patriots, Dolphins started their 34-yard line. 7-yard run from Devon Achane. Then Tua finds Janu Smith for 13 yards. Achane again gets a 5-yard run to the New England 41-yard line. On 2nd and 5, Tua finds Jaylen Waddle for 17 yards to the 24. After a 1-yard run, incomplete pass, Tua finds again Jaylen Waddle for 14 yards to get to the New England 9. And then the drive was finished off with a short pass to Devon Achane, who had one of the best setups I have seen. Everybody got washed out to the left sideline, and he was able to get in for the touchdown, and the Dolphins go up 14-0, a 9-play, 66-yard drive. Mike, the offense was just getting started in this game, and Achane started to put his stamp on it as well.
Yeah, Achane's a factor back. He can do it all. He can catch, he can run, he can block a little bit. He is, again, in this offense where Hill and Waddle get so much attention, guys like Achane and Janu Smith should have favorable matchups often. And, Hill's numbers are way down this year. Waddle's numbers are way down this year. Even if you take out the games without Tua, their numbers are still down. But Janu's and Achane's are up, and that's because you're playing complementary football with just your offense. You're going to take away that one. I'm going to go to them. And those guys can make plays. He is extremely talented.
The Patriots get the ball and start at their 30-yard line with a short pass to Ramondre Stevenson from 19 yards, which was called back for offensive holding. But that was the play that Anthony Walker was injured. He was backpedaling, and as soon as he got close to midfield, he kind of pulled up and immediately kind of touched the back of his leg and, called for assistance. So the hamstring injury, the likelihood he's not playing on Thursday if it's a hamstring. So the Tyrell Dotson's going to have some big minutes on Thursday night. And after the holding call, the Drake May finds Keyshawn Boutte for 6. Drake May to Demario Douglas for 5 on 39, incomplete to Demario Douglas, and another punt to the Miami Dolphins offense. Already up 14-0. Then they go 10 plays, 80 yards, in 4 minutes and 13 seconds to take a 21-0 lead. Opens with a 2-yard run from Devon Achane, and then after an incompletion, it is 3rd and 8. Tua found Jaylen Waddle for 15 yards and a first down. Malik Washington with an end-around run for 2. Miami calls timeout. Jalen Wright goes for 10 yards and a first down on his first carry of the game. Tua goes deep to Jaylen Waddle for 19 yards. It was ruled a completion.
Let's talk about this.
And it stayed a completion, but there also was a defensive holding on the play as well. So the Dolphins were going to have a first down regardless. But was that a catch, Mike?
Even here's what I know. To me, it was so close. Since on the field they called it a catch, I would say it's a catch by rule. But this might be the. I mean, and look, I watch a lot of football, and I've seen our head coach with some dumb challenges. Mayo had maybe the single worst challenge ever because you're fighting over 14 yards. Either it's a catch and a first down, or it's not a catch and it's still a first down in a 5-yard penalty. You're literally fighting over 14 yards. You're going to lose a timeout, and they're going to get if you win, if you're wrong, you lose a timeout, they have a first down. If you win, they still have a first down. What are you challenging? That is the single worst challenge I've ever seen a head coach do, especially in the first half of a game. It meant nothing to yards. But, I mean, I thought it was a catch. I don't know.
Yeah, it was either going to be at the New England 32, which it was, or it was going to be at the New England 47-yard line, 46-yard line, whatever it was, right?
It was a 14-yard difference.
It's
still first down, though. That's the point.
It's
not
no
about
matter
the
what, it
yardage.
was a first down. I don't understand the challenge. I mean, yes, you want to try to keep them out of field goal range, but they were carving that defense up regardless. They were going to get inside the field goal range at that point, but it is what it is because the Dolphins, again, made him pay for it.
If this is a game, Tom, where there's no yards, no points, 3-0, and every yard is so important, every field goal attempt is so important, yeah, throw that challenge, I guess. But in a game where they already got, 21 points are going up and down the field, those yards mean nothing. It's more about the down. And it's like, I don't know. You're not winning anything is the point.
No. After the blunder challenge, Janu Smith gets a completion for 14 yards. Then Tua finds Tyreek Hill for no gain on a bubble screen. On 2nd and 10 from the 18, a pass to Janu Smith for 7 yards and a first down. On 3rd and 11, Devon Achane motions from left to right and was wide open. Like nobody on the Patriots defense shifted with Devon Achane, and Tua just threw it out there for him for an 11-yard.
He could have crawled in the end zone if he wanted to. He could have gotten on all fours and literally crawled in the end zone. He was that wide open.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Patriots get the ball after the Dolphins take a 21-0 lead. Drake May goes incomplete on first down. On second down, Drake May is sacked by Chop Robinson. Was ruled a fumble on the field. However, after review, they reversed it to an incomplete pass. Mike, your thoughts on that one? That was very close. And to me, if the ball is coming out of your hand sideways, you lost control of the ball.
I agree with you, but by the letter of the rule, they're right. I agree with you.
Yes.
I think they make these rules too complicated. I think one, there's way too many rules. That's number one. And two, they make them too complicated. But you are right, but by what they called it was right. And let's be honest, they had this drive. They had the ball for 3 plays, 22 seconds. If you're the Patriots, down 21-0, nothing's gone your way in the first half. You got to kill more than 22 seconds and not give them the ball back with 90 seconds left. Once again, I know the Patriots are bad. Lack of talent. I get it. They blew it up. They're starting over. Everyone understands it. We've been there before. We all understand it. But the coaching staff has to be better than this. You cannot have any talent on the field, but you still want your coaches to be intelligent, and this coaching staff does not look intelligent right now.
No. No.
That was a horrible game.
Yeah. After a false start on 3rd and 10, Drake May was sacked by Emmanuel Ogbah and Chop Robinson to force a punt, and the Dolphins get the ball at their 41-yard line as Jake Bailey punted at Brian Behringer for the Patriots punted at 39 yards to give the Dolphins great field position. I'm sorry. I just felt it was only the Dolphins punter that typically only punts 39 yards to try to flip the field. on 1st and 10 from the 41, Tua finds Jaylen Waddle for 29 yards and a first down. Tua then hits Tyreek Hill for 7, and then Tyreek Hill for 20 to the Patriots 3-yard line. It goes to 3rd and goal. And unfortunately, Tua to Jaylen Waddle, incomplete. It looks like Jaylen Waddle stopped his route. Kyle Duggar cut it off, and Jaylen Waddle almost came up with the deflected pass. Just miscommunication there, Mike. Not too much of that today, but they did have to settle for a 21-yard field goal. Settle. I mean, come on, settle. To go up 24-0 to end the first half, and we have reached halftime, Mike, and you know what that means.
Yes, I do. Some plugs, that means. First off, a shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and if you're on YouTube, smash that like button, or iHeartRadio, Audible, Podbean, Podchaser. Subscribe. We got a short week this week. We're going to have shows each and every day of the week. We're going to have shows on Monday. We're going to have shows on Tuesday. We're going to have shows on Wednesday. And on Thursday, Tom and me will be here after the game, Thanksgiving night, having a turkey sandwich, talking Packers, Dolphins, post-game wrap-up show then. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss an episode. And Tom, last but not least, this weekend or this week when you're with your family members and you're with friends and relatives, and maybe some of them you don't like, maybe some of them get on your nerves. Well, that's when you got to get, as they say, mellow seltzer. That's right, folks. You got to get mellow with mellow seltzer. The seltzer that is taking America by storm. Mellow THC seltzer. That's right. THC seltzer comes in wild berry, grapefruit, strawberry mango, and the one I'm holding half and half, lemonade and iced tea, a mix of madness, genius, and a pinch of chaos to bring you the best sips in the universe. With 5 milligrams of THC in this drink, Mellow is revolutionizing the way you unwind, and we all might need to unwind this week at Thanksgiving. Each sip is designed to gently lift your spirits and ground your senses. Go to mellowseltzer.com for information on how and where to purchase. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll hold up a couple, half and half right here. We got strawberry mango here. We got, I think this one's grapefruit here. And, of course, we got everyone's favorite, wild berry. Mellowseltzer.com.
Second half opens. The Dolphins have a rare 3-and-out, punting the ball to the Pats. Pats get it at their 25-yard line, have a 10-play, 27-yard drive that ends in a punt. They get down to the Dolphins' 41-yard line. Drake May found Demario Douglas for 7 yards. Offensive pass interference call pushed them back 1st and 20 to their 49-yard line, and the drive stalled out, giving the Dolphins the ball at the 7-yard line. They end up punting after a 6-play, 38-yard drive. Then it gets a little interesting. After the 39-yard punt by Jake Bailey, although it goes to the 16-yard line, so whatever. Drake May to Demario Douglas for 27 yards to get it close to midfield. Drake May then scrambles for 8 to get it to the Dolphins' 49-yard line. On 2nd and 2 from the Dolphins' 49-yard line, Ramondre Stevenson loses a yard due to Zach Sealer and Jalen Ramsey. And then 3rd and 3, Drake May sacked for 14-yard loss. Zach Sealer caused the sack, caused the fumble, and it was recovered by Jordan Brooks, who took it to the New England Patriots 25-yard line for a 12-yard return on the fumble. Mike, another impact play by Zach Sealer.
Yeah, I mean, since he's returned, he's been kind of unblockable. The combination of him and Calais Campbell have been outstanding. Haven't missed a beat with Wilkins gone. So that front seven, as we said earlier, and I won't harp, has just been, way better than we could have imagined. Losing Wilkins, losing Raekwon, losing Andrew Van Ginkel, losing Chubb, losing Jaylen. It's been better than any of us could have imagined. And as the year's gone on, it's actually improved over time. Hopefully it continues the final 5-6 games of the year.
Absolutely. So the Dolphins get a really short field from the 25, started with a Jaylen Wright run for 2 yards, and on 2nd and 8 from the 23, Tua to Jaylen Waddle over the middle for a 23-yard touchdown. Jaylen Waddle fought through a couple defenders to make his way into the end zone. Did not do the waddle. He did not do the waddle. I was very surprised by that.
You know what? Only waddle when you're above 500. Until we get to 500 or better, no waddles. How about that?
All right.
I'm okay with it.
All right. Mike's okay with it. Dolphins go up 31-0. The Patriots do get on the board in the beginning of the fourth quarter. On 4th and 15, Drake May threw to a wide open Austin Hooper for 38 yards. I have no idea what the hell the Dolphins defense was doing there, leaving a guy wide open, but it is what it is. Well, again, not many blunders to talk about in this game, but that one right there, Mike, they lost the shutout. I
actually think, I think the middle linebacker, who obviously he's only been here like a week and a half. I think he was out of position. Whatever, no big deal this game. I'm sure they're gonna watch the tape and have that fixed. But I really think that's what it was. That and plus May made a move. He got out of the pocket. And when that happens with any quarterback who gets out of the pocket like that, stuff will break downfield. It's not the end of the world. But I think having a new middle linebacker in there, plus somebody who we haven't mentioned today, who, once again, I'll just mention it quickly, Jordan Poyer is just not any good. And I think, there's a lot of factors going on in the middle of the field deep right now with a new middle linebacker, safety play. That's kind of could play into this. And plus, May just made a play, honestly. He's great.
Yeah, it was a good play. Dolphins go 3 and out. The Patriots turn it over on downs. They had it at their 38-yard line. Drake May throws incomplete deep left to Kendrick Bourne on the 4th down play, and the Dolphins get great field position and a new quarterback in as Skylar Thompson comes in for Tua Tagovailoa after the first carry of Jaylen Wright for 3 yards. Hell broke loose as a missed handoff from Jaylen Wright. It looks like, to me, again, I got to look at the All-22, but to me it looked like Skylar Thompson just could not put it on the stomach of Jaylen Wright. It looked like it hit him in the chest too high. And, of course, on a run play, there's more defenders than offensive players, and it was returned for a 63-yard touchdown, and the Patriots had life 31-15. Lo and behold, Tua Tagovailoa comes right back in because Skylar Thompson doesn't know how to do a basic damn handoff.
We're going to talk about him more later. All I'm going to say is when he walked on that field and with that play, he looked like a nervous wreck. He really did look like he was shaking in his boots. And, you got a huge lead. There's no pressure on you. Your first play is literally just a turn and hand off, and he couldn't even do that. And we'll talk more about someone out there who might be a potential number 2 quarterback for the Dolphins if they decide to go down that road and if P decides he wants to be here. But Skylar Thompson, if there is no doubt anymore, he is. If that play caused us, which it did, to put in our starting quarterback again, and he would have got hurt after that because this guy can't turn and hand off, that would have been worst case scenario. Because I was actually happy. Mike McDaniel got a short week, take out some of the starters. We got a comfortable lead, and this idiot just hands him a touchdown on one play. And we got to put everyone back in. It's like, if you can't depend on the guy to turn and hand off, there's really nothing left for you in the NFL.
Correct. Dolphins do take 3:51 off the clock, but they did end up punting. Tua was sacked on 3rd and 7. Patrick Paul was in the game at that point as well, and he was called for an offensive holding, which was declined. Dolphins punted away. Drake May gets the ball from the 37-yard line, goes 7 yards to Hunter Henry, and then a short pass to Kendrick Bourne for 9 yards to the Dolphins 47. On 2nd and 10, Drake May's pass was intercepted, intended for Antonio Gibson, and Tyrell Dotson comes down with it, and the Dolphins drive down to the Patriots 33-yard line, kick a 51-yard field goal. Jason Sanders right on the money. After the Patriots turn it over on downs, the Dolphins end the game. And still, even at that point, Skylar Thompson didn't take another snap. Tua took the kneel downs, and the Dolphins win 34-14. Team stats for today's game. 23 first downs for the Dolphins, 14 for the Patriots. We had 3 for 14 efficiency on third down for New England. Miami, 4 for 12. This is the worst performance on third down. And God, it has to be at least like 6 games.
Yeah.
Patriots were 1 for 3 on fourth down. The Dolphins did not go for it once on fourth down. Patriots ran 63 plays for 268 total yards of offense. The Dolphins ran 66 at 373. Miami averaged 5.7 yards per play. The Patriots only 4.3. For the quarterbacks, Drake May, 22 of 38. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times for 39 yards. And had a total yardage of 221 passing yards. Tua Tagovailoa, 29 of 40, 4 touchdown passes, 317 yards through the air. He was sacked twice, lost 9 yards. Brilliant performance today. Rushing attempts, Dolphins 24 for 65 at 2.7 yards per rush. 3rd straight game since the Austin Jackson injury. The offense cannot get going on the ground.
That's a big injury. Not that Lamb is playing bad. He's not. But he's not Austin Jackson. That's the thing.
Yep. Patriots 21 attempts for 86 yards, only 4 yards per rush. Where the games are won, Mike, in the red zone, the Dolphins 3 for 4 on their trips inside the 20-yard line. The Patriots never made it to the 20-yard line. Very interesting. Patriots 10 penalties for 75 yards. Dolphins, again, disciplined football, 3 penalties for 17 yards. Continuing to, minimize the mistakes, which is a far cry from what they were for the first.
Yeah, this is like the third. I'd have to check. I know it's because there was the one game where they had only 1 penalty, and now here they got 3. I think there was another game where they had like 5 or less. This is like the third game out of the past 5. They've had like 5 or less penalties. Obviously, that's good.
Yes. Time of possession, 32:04 for the Dolphins, 27.
You win it again
for the Patriots. All right, time to give out game balls, Mike. Who do you got?
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm giving it to number 17 himself. 8 receptions, 144 yards, 1 touchdown. If you listen to me all week on my show with Robert Burns, listen to me on some other shows, I said Waddle's due for a breakout game. This is it because the Patriots just aren't very good. And Jaylen Waddle, well, I'll do the Waddle, gets the game ball.
I also laughed at the guys up in Boston saying, Jaylen Waddle might be available. What's the chances of them getting him? Get out of town. Get out of town. All right. I could easily give it to the quarterback, Mike. I could easily give it to the quarterback. 4 touchdown passes, over 300 yards passing, hitting 70% of his passes. I could easily give it to the quarterback. I'm not going to do that. I wish I had an axe downstairs, Mike, because I want to show you guys how I can wield an axe and chop something. Chop Robinson, 4 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defended, and 3 quarterback hits, and a partridge in a pear tree. Chop Robinson, one hell of a football game, and he continues to make the climb that we all expected for the 21st overall pick. He is producing week after week after week, and I can't wait to see his pass rush win rate because he's been one of the tops in the NFL over the last 4 weeks, and I'm sure he's going to be near the top this week.
Yeah. Again, he's just been so good for Miami. He's someone who's come on of late, and it's just so much fun to watch him play because you see that first step. That's something you can't teach, man. You either have that at that point in your life after you've gone through high school, college, and now in the NFL. Like you have that type of first step, or you don't. And he's got it, and he's so athletic, and he's so fast, that he's so good that he's only going to get better as time goes on. And it's really about, big picture, not just this year, big picture, making sure you always have someone lined up opposite him who's also good, so teams just can't put multiple men on him, so he does get those favorable matchups. And hopefully that guy is Jalen Phillips if he can get healthy in time. And having those two, one on one side, one on the other, just causing havoc for years to come. Now, with this win, Miami is now 5-6 on the year, improved their playoff chances. The Indianapolis Colts lost today, which is good. puts them to 5-7. Now, we have to remember the Colts do have the head-to-head tiebreaker in Miami. But the Broncos won, which stinks, and they are 7-5. As those three teams really are fighting for that final playoff spot. Cincinnati at 4-7, I don't think has a chance because it's going to be tough for Miami. I think it's even harder for them with one less win. So let's look at these schedules here. Let's start with the Colts because I think, there's no shame in losing to the Lions, even at home. Everyone knows they're probably the best team in football right now, the Lions. They're awesome. But we got to look forward. And the Colts, right now, they still have an off week, week 14. But their schedule is pretty favorable. They have to play at the Patriots, and we saw today the Patriots. They got some spunk, I guess, but they're not very good. Then they got a week off. Then they traveled to Denver. And I think, Tom, we're going to have to root for the Colts that week at Denver. Someone's got to win. And I don't think a tie actually helps us really. So I think we're probably going to have to get a loss on the Broncos here. Now, here's where Indianapolis has the most favorable schedule in the league. Their last 3 games, Titans at home, and I know they look very good today, but it's still the Titans with a 32nd ranked offense. It's still the Titans. At the Giants, and Tommy DeVito, how's your family if he's still playing? I don't know if he's going to be playing, but still, the Giants are a mess, and they are openly tanking. When you cut Jones and sign Tim Boyle and start Tommy DeVito over Locke, you are openly trying to lose on purpose. So the Giants are not going to – the Colts got to win there.
Open an investigation on them.
Yeah, really, there should be, honestly. And then that final game, the Colts got Jacksonville, who Trevor Lawrence is going to be healthy. Their head coach is getting fired. They have quit on the year. So those last 3 games for the Colts, Titans, Giants, and Jags, we really got to hope that the Colts lose at the Patriots next week and maybe stub their toe, but it's going to be tough because those, like I said, some of those teams are just not competitive. But that's what we got to hope for. Stranger things have happened. Let's just say that. Yep. Now, the Broncos schedule, and they have, a 2-game lead on Miami? They have 7 wins. Miami's at 5. Their schedule is obviously a little bit more challenging. They got home next week versus the Browns. The Browns can surprise you every now and then, so I guess that's not like a walk. And that's on Monday night, too. Yep. It's the Browns. Who knows what you're going to get. As I say, with the Browns are like Forrest Gump. It's like a box of chocolates. Some weeks they come up and they stink, and some weeks they actually play halfway decent, even with Winston. Then they're off a week on week 14. Then they got to play the Colts at home. But here's where it gets tougher for Denver. Their last 3 is not like the Colts. At the Chargers, who probably still need to win to lock up a wild card spot. Then they're at Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati's going to be out of it. It's on the road in Cincinnati. It's not like that's it's 2 evenly matched teams. Let's just leave it there. And then they close with the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs, it's at home for them, but if the Chiefs are fighting for a 1 seed with the Bills, the Chiefs might have to play hard to get a first-round bye.
Yep.
So their schedule's tougher. So maybe we should root for them over the Colts because there's more chances for them to lose and less chances for Indianapolis to lose. I'm thinking maybe.
Yeah.
It stinks either way. Someone has to win, unfortunately. I think we got to root for the Broncos that game and then hope they lose like Cincinnati, hope they lose to the Chiefs, hope they lose to the Chargers because the Colts, I don't see them losing to like Giants and Jags and Titans. Maybe they lose 1, maybe. I just don't see that. Just seems very unlikely, though. So that's the situation. And plus, on top of that, Miami pretty much has to win them all. That's the other aspect. They got to go to Green Bay and win. They got to go to Houston and win. They got to beat San Fran at home, and they'll probably have their quarterback back by then. So there's 2 sides here. A, Miami has to take care of their own business, but then the help aspect, the Colts got 3 really easy games. Maybe 4 if you count the Browns, or no, not the Browns. They don't play the Browns. And then you got the Broncos. So we'll see. It's still early. If you're Miami, just win. If they win, hopefully everything works out for them. If they don't win, none of this matters.
Right. I will say, even as the Patriots stink, Anthony Richardson in cold weather next week. That's not a recipe for success. So
and
Patriots have a good chance at sneaking that one out.
That game is not a total lock for the Colts. And I think May, once again, if you look at May's stat lines, aside from today, because today was a bad day for him. Because I was looking at this week to see like how nervous should we be before I put down that bet. Hold on, Drake May stats. Come on. I want the game log. That's not what I want. Drake May stats. This is great podcasting, right? I know. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Game logs 2024. Okay, Drake May this year. 20 for 33, 243, 3 touchdowns. 26 for 37, 276 and 2. Week 8 game, he was only 3 for 6. That was a game he got hurt, so I'm not going to count that one. Week 9, 29 for 41, 206 in a touchdown. 15 for 25, 184 in a touchdown. 29 for 32, 282. Like, he's got 282 and 2, 206 and 1, 276 and 2, 243 and 3. I mean, he can play. It's just he's got to get help around him. If that offensive line can give him any help, he's got a couple wide receivers who don't like. I mean, they're bad, but they don't like totally suck. And they can run the ball a little bit. Like they could pull an upset maybe versus Indy since it's in New England. Yeah, absolutely. But we're gonna have to root for the Patriots next week, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I think.
Well, hold on. If we don't win Thursday, I don't know if it matters, honestly.
Right. No, none of it matters if they lose on Thursday. But if also, I was looking at it, the Chargers are playing the Falcons in Atlanta next week. Atlanta is going to be licking their chops after their bye week, after the way they were embarrassed in Denver prior to their bye week. So that one's going to be interesting as well, because I think the Chargers, I know they got to play the Chiefs, and they got to. I
have it here. Hold on. So they got 7 games left because they haven't played this week yet. Now, their next 5 are brutal, but the last 2 are cupcakes. Versus the Ravens at home, at Atlanta, at Kansas City, home versus Tampa, home versus the Broncos. If they survive that, their last 2 at the Patriots, at the Raiders. So if they can survive that 5-game stretch, go 3-2 even, they should be okay. Because right now they're already at 7 wins. So if they get to 10 there, and then they win their final 2 versus the Patriots and Raiders, who by then will not be playing. I mean, today the Raiders lost Minshew, put in Ritter, and it was a disaster like you've never seen before. And they got the Patriots. We kind of know. If they can just go like 3-2 in that stretch, or even 2-3 and be at 9, and then they win the final 2, they're at 11. They're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
What's the Ravens schedule? Because they might not win that division. Well, I want to see their schedule because that AFC North is so brutal.
They still have. I think they
Chargers, Philly. Oh, their schedule's no cupcake. They got Chargers, Philly. The Giants is a win. Pittsburgh, Houston, and Cleveland, who they never beat. Yeah. I mean, look. First things first. Win games, Miami.
Just
win games.
Just win, baby.
Because if they don't win, none of this stuff matters. Now, there was 2 stories that came out this morning, and 2 separate stories about the Dolphins, somewhat about the Dolphins. Number 1 is Daniel Jones. He's out there. And Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider, he's got a report. And let me just read it here. I got it right here. Saying there's been significant interest in Jones. He expects the Ravens, Vikings, Lions, Miami, and 49ers. That's what, 1, 2, 3. Those 5 teams to pursue him. They want him heavily. And Jones has said he wants to go to a team that's in the playoff mix, that is a contender, blah, blah, blah. So he's going to have some options because he's cleared waivers, and Miami's one of the teams. Now, there was an Adam Schefter report saying he believes it's down between the Ravens and the Vikings, which makes sense because the Vikings, Sam Darnold could get hurt. I mean, he's one of those guys who's had a lot of injuries in his time. He could get hurt. And then you got the Ravens are obvious. They're always a very good team there. So Miami might be in the mix. And what we saw today from Skylar Thompson might make them more interested. And do I think Jones will end up in Miami? No. I know we got some people in our chat saying he's not a scheme fit. Guess what? Neither is Skylar Thompson. Okay. So who do you want as number 2? Not a scheme fit Jones or not a scheme fit Skylar Thompson? Again, Here's why the case, if I'm Jones, and I got all these teams, it's all going to be the same money because he already got paid. It's all the same money wherever he goes. Where do I have the best chance to, if I have to play, turn around my career? And when you look at Miami, you have weapons upon weapons upon weapons that none of those teams really have. The Ravens don't have weapons in the passing game like Miami. San Fran maybe does, but the Vikings have one great guy, but nobody. I mean, Miami, you have a lot of weapons around you. 2, you got a really smart offensive-minded head coach who fixed one quarterback that we see every week, and maybe he can fix me. And again, he's just signing for the rest of the year. He's not signing for multiple years here. He's just going to – it's a rental. So if I'm Jones, that would be some pros in Miami's column. Again, Ravens, as someone here in our chat says, Lamar Jackson gets hurt often, so he could go there and play. Absolutely, he could. But I think in Miami, we know our quarterback is injury prone. Not hating, just stating he is. And you have an offensive-minded coach with a lot of weapons. It might intrigue him. And what we saw today from Skylar Thompson, who's incapable of turning and handing the ball off. Something probably you or me could do, Tom. I know you are a Western New York legend. You are an athlete, my friend. You could turn and hand the ball off to Jaylen Wright. It might be wise for him to consider Miami. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be against it. And why any Dolphins fan would be against him coming in for a month to be a backup quarterback blows my mind because he's better than Huntley, Skyler, or anyone else.
Just remember, folks, Daniel Jones his salary is being paid by the Giants. The Dolphins will sign him for probably vet minimum, and it wouldn't even, not even a blink. And if Daniel Jones likes it here and the Dolphins like Daniel Jones, then maybe they bring him back for a year next year. But if he signs here and then leaves to go somewhere else, depending on what he could sign for as a backup quarterback, because he's not going to be a starter anywhere, the Dolphins will get a compensatory pick potentially.
Yeah.
So
it's like you're buying a compensatory pick, essentially.
Correct. So there is nothing wrong with, having that conversation, bringing him in, because at the end of the day, what has Skylar Thompson proven in his time that tells you, yeah, he should be the backup quarterback? Like Mike said, he can't do a basic snap to handoff. How do you not do that? And the first handoff was sloppy too. It's like, what are we doing? And by the way, Skylar Thompson's also handing these passes off to Jaylen Wright in practices. Jaylen Wright's not the starting running back. He's getting a lot of handoffs from Skylar Thompson. So what's the issue? Skylar Thompson, mentally, he's done. He's cooked. Daniel Jones may not be any better, but I can tell you what, he's a hell of a lot better of an athlete than Skylar Thompson. Get Skylar Thompson out of here. It's his time is done in Miami. It's over. He's not back next year. The experiment is done. Mike McDaniel cannot fix this player. He can't turn him into an NFL quarterback. Bring in someone who has some experience. If it works out, Daniel Jones would be a better option than Skylar Thompson. Period. Point blank. End of story.
It's just like a 1-month rental type deal. And here's the other thing. What's the worst possible case scenario for the Dolphins? Dolphins actually win all these games. They get to the final week of the year. They're actually in the playoffs, but Tua gets hurt. Yep. Well, if you had to put out Skylar Thompson, you're going to lose 50-0 in round 1. Jones has actually won a playoff game on the road. I'm not saying he'd win for Miami, but you'd at least have a puncher's chance. I know people say, well, Skylar Thompson almost, won so many years ago over the Bills. That was a different Skylar Thompson, folks. That was a wide-eyed rookie who didn't know what he was doing. Now, he's a deer in the headlights, shaking like a leaf in the wind. That guy's gone. The guy we got now is a shell of that guy. So, again, I don't think he's going to come here, but if he did, great. And we'll see how it plays out. He's going to sign Monday. He might sign by the time most of you are listening to this. He's going to sign Monday. He'd probably go to the Vikings or Ravens. That's cool, but, crazier things have happened. And maybe Miami today, after watching a guy not be able to turn and hand the ball off, might be like, you know what, let's call his agent. Let's call him. Let's have a talk to him. Say, South Florida weather's great. We got a great condo for you picked out. The weather's great. Sit back and relax. And God forbid you got to play. You're throwing to Hill, Waddle, Janu, You're going to have a blast because what do you got to lose? So story number one. The second story that was interesting was it came out from Ian Rappaport on the NFL Network that the Miami Dolphins had a trade for Calais Campbell on November 5th, the trade deadline to send him back to the Ravens for a 5th-round pick in 2026. It's only a 5th-round pick, 2026, nothing great. But again, Miami at that time only had 2 victories. Okay, only had 2. Their season was over. Let's be honest. And Mike McDaniel stepped in and stopped the trade. Now, there's a couple of things here. A, how does this leak now? This story, all these weeks later, especially after you've won a few games. I'll tell you how. Everyone sit back. Chris Grier. Why? Because Chris Grier wants it to be known when Miami possibly misses the playoffs. Hey, I tried to get the extra draft pick. Not me. Mike McDaniel stopped me from making a trade. And it's like, Chris, we've seen him do this game 100 times. He absolves himself of everything, throws someone else under the bus, leak a story to this guy. I mean, Mike McDaniel, after the game was asked about this, he didn't want to talk about it. Why would this story come out? Campbell didn't want to talk about it. The only person who this story makes look good is Chris Grier. Because if Miami misses the playoffs, which we've said, it's a tough road to get in, he can say, well, I tried to get us an extra draft pick. They wouldn't let me. And he paints the other guy as the bad guy. So this is Chris Grier and why he's got to go. That's number one. Number two.
On the flip side, though, Mike, if the Dolphins make the playoffs, or if they make a run,
it makes Mike McDaniel look better.
It does, but then Chris Grier says, you know what? I listened to Mike McDaniel, and I really took what his thoughts were, and that's why I didn't make the trade. He's going to figure out a way to make this about him, and absolve himself of all the other issues that this team has had. But, you know, he can potentially help here in the next 24, 48 hours by bringing in someone viable as a backup quarterback option.
Yeah. So then the story gets more interesting. So that was the deal. They stopped the trade. They Mike McDaniel spoke to Campbell face to face. It wasn't like they went through his agent. They go, look, I want you. Here's why. I know our record sucks at the moment, and we still think we can turn things around, blah, blah, blah. And they convinced them, and they said, per the report, Campbell wanted to stay. In the end, he wanted to stay. Okay. Then a few hours later, Omar Kelly, the Miami Herald, comes out, and he reports that the Miami Dolphins, well, he was the one who reported that Campbell wanted to stay. But once the Dolphins are out of the playoff mix, which could happen any week now, they will possibly release Campbell. So he then can sign with a contender and have a chance to make, have a chance to get a ring and play in the playoffs. Because he is 38. This is probably his final season. Maybe he comes back. Even if he does, he might not play as many snaps as he's playing this year. This is probably his final season. So the Dolphins, if they lose to the Packers and say they lose to the Jets, they're probably going to cut him, which is fine at that point. If you're a fan of the Dolphins, I mean, who cares? He's gone. He's only on a 1-year contract anyway. So Miami might have passed up a 5th-round pick in 2026, and they might release a guy and still not make the playoffs, which is just
peak Chris Grier.
Peak Chris Grier. It's like if they made that trade and if it was announced on the 5th, I don't think any fan of the Miami Dolphins would have been upset. They would have been like, it makes sense. He's an old guy, 1-year deal. Let him go. We're 2-6. Why is this coming out now? There's no reason for it, especially when you've won 2 games. You're at home versus the Patriots. You expect to win a 3rd. You're on a bit of a winning streak. Like, how does this get out there? Chris Grier got it out there. You don't got to be Scooby-Doo to solve this mystery. He's the one who leaked this story because he's the only one who comes off looking good in any possible way, which I don't think he looks that good, but it doesn't make Mike McDaniel look good if they lose here. It doesn't make Campbell look all that great. I mean, it makes no sense, but it's like there's always drama around the Dolphins. Keep your stuff in-house. Nothing like this should leak out, especially on a Sunday in late November before a quote-unquote big game, because every game now is big. It's unbelievable how this franchise operates. And then fans wonder, I can't believe we haven't won a playoff game in 24 years. Because it's bullshit like this you don't see the good franchises do.
Yeah, I agree. Just at this point, just keep winning, because at the end of the day, this is a guy that you want to keep here, keep in the fold, because obviously he's making an impact for this football team. And Mike McDaniel, as of right now, has been 100% correct in keeping Calais Campbell. As of right now, he was
Might look like a
100%
fool in a month. We'll see.
Yep. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Before we wrap up here, Tom, Thanksgiving's this week on Thursday. As I said, right after the game, Tom and myself will be here. Food-related question.
Yes.
Thanksgiving, what's your favorite side dish?
Ooh.
Name your top 3 in order. 3, 2, 1.
All right. So I'll start with the peak, obviously, is the mashed potatoes. The peak. You can't have turkey on Thanksgiving without having a nice heaping of mashed potatoes.
That's right.
But also for me, with mashed potatoes, got to be done right. Don't give me no lumpy potatoes. Don't give me undercooked potatoes. Don't do that stuff to me. Don't
whipped. Whipped potatoes has to be whipped very well.
And last year, I'll tip my hat to myself here. Last year, I smoked a turkey with the mashed potatoes. I took some of the basting juice from the turkey in the smoker and put it inside of the mashed potato mixture.
Oh, look at that, Tom.
Ooh.
This is food porn at its highest.
Ooh. Everyone close the doors, dim the lights. I'm actually a proponent of even having like a nice mac and cheese on Thanksgiving as well. Homemade.
Position number 2.
Don't give me no damn box shit. Give me a homemade mac and cheese. No Kraft.
No Velveeta.
No Velveeta. No cheating. Give me some real mac and cheese. Some good stuff. And number 3 for me on
1, because you went 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Oh boy. Well, I would say number 1 was the mashed potatoes. So
number 1. Okay, so you're going to.
So number 2, regardless, I'll put mac and cheese in there. Number 3 is Mama's homemade stuffing that has the ground sausage in it. Oh my God! Just give me a big bowl of that, and I'm happy. Give me a big bowl of that stuff.
I'm gonna give you my top 3. I'm gonna give you my
right.
top 3, and you hit a home run. Now, number 3 is mainly if you're an Italian, just a little bit of eggplant parm. Eggplant parm is a side on Thanksgiving. It's a big thing with the Italians. I know if you're not an Italian, you're like, eggplant parm. Trust me, if you're an Italian, eggplant parm. Number 2, like you said, mashed potatoes. And number 1, and you said something key here, stuffing with the sausage. Not cornbread stuffing. Stuffing, mix up a little ground sausage in there. That is creme de la creme right there. And absolutely, stuffing's number 1 by a mile. But you saying the sausage, you're a smart man.
I try, Mike. I try. And, depending on how late this is going to get, I need to stay awake. You might see me here with a sandwich for the post-game show at 11:30 at night. Because if you can't have just one dinner, maybe not 2, why not 3?
That's right. I'll tell you, Thanksgiving, that post-game show, if we win, I'll probably have a turkey sandwich here, and I might even break open a mellow seltzer, and we're going to celebrate a big, because look, we haven't beaten a really good team on the road late in the year in a while. And if we can do that on Thanksgiving night of all nights, get back to 500, Tom, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving night. You better make sure you got your little soundproof room there so you don't wake up the house. Because if that's a big win on Thursday, if we can get it, if we lose, it'll probably be a short show. That's how it's going to work.
Yeah, because I want to get the bed.
Short show, season's over, we stink. If we win, it's going to be turkey sandwiches, mellow seltzer, and everything in between.
Might even have a guest appearance from jolly old St. Nick because, it's going to be Christmas time too. No, I'm just kidding, folks. I can't get St.
I got my tree up today. I did
see that. I did see that.
Yeah, put up the tree.
And I will tell you that my wife has had the tree up for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I had one, jerk on social media go, well, what are you putting up so early? It's not Thanksgiving. Well, first off, Thanksgiving's late this year. Second off, my Monday through Fridays are absolutely swamped with my real job, podcasting, run the website. I don't have time Monday through Friday. And oh, by the way, in a week and a half, I'm flying back to South Florida. If I don't put the tree up today, it might not have went up this year because I just don't have time Monday through Friday. So today I had time. It was a quiet morning. And I'm like, let me put it up today, get it out of the way. Thanksgiving's really, it's 1 month from Christmas Eve. It's not like I have it up, November 1st. It's November 24th today. Christmas Eve's in a month. I thought it was okay. And to that guy who was a jerk, you're a jerk.
Good for you, Mike. I'm glad that you got your tree up on a day.
I got like 4 or 5 ornaments of the Miami Dolphins. I tweeted them out too. I got a few Miami Dolphins ornaments. You gotta support the home team even at Christmas. There you go. Madone, Mike, the eggplant parm. I'm telling you, man, eggplant parm.
I'm gonna have to do that myself. Shit.
Oh, it's great.
Well, when I was a kid, Mike, just to go back on this Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
When I would go to grandma's house on the Italian side, it was a feast, right? It was, you name it, you got it. On top of everything else that was there, my grandmother always had those really thin cutlets, chicken cutlets. Oh,
Yep.
Man, I should be sitting here looking like Sherman Klump for the amount of food that I was eating as a child. But my metabolism then was so good. If I were to do the same thing today, I would probably look like Ben Stiller at the end of Dodgeball.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about like all the pies and stuff. But, I'm not a big like cake and pie person, so I don't go crazy for that. I know some people, like my aunt does, my father, my brother, whatever, they will eat it, but I'm not. But that's like a whole nother thing. But really, I want, because we show up early at my aunt's house, have some appetizers, so which all that cheese, crackers, pepperoni, olives, all whole 9 yards there. Some way more than that actually too. And then we wait however many hours, have our meal. And late at night, you have the sandwich. And this year we have Dolphins football on Thanksgiving.
Let's go.
When was the last time we played on Thanksgiving? I can't remember.
It was
Lions
it
or
Dallas
Cowboys?
or Detroit?
Had to be Dallas.
It was Dallas.
I
They
think so.
did play Dallas, I think in 20. Oh God, what was it? It's been
a while.
God. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Let me check Dolphins on Thanksgiving. The Miami Dolphins on Thanksgiving. What was it? Let's see if I can find it real quick. If not,
because last year they played on Black Friday, which doesn't
Black Friday. No.
Here
we go. They're let me see. Dolphins on Thanksgiving. 2006. 2011.
Yep.
Dallas won 2019. It's been 13 years.
Wow.
It might have been.
Wow.
No, it might have been, because here's why. You either have to play at the Lions or at the Cowboys, because we've never been that good in the past 13 years to get the night game, honestly, because that's always a game of like marquee stature for the most part, like Ravens, Pittsburgh. It's been San Francisco, Seattle. Like, we've never been that good. So, and then when they changed the rules to where CBS and Fox didn't have to be like the AFC team, you could have 2 NFC games like Eagles, Cowboys, Bears, Lions. Like, you didn't need a team from the AFC in those games. That's when everything changed. So it probably has been since 2011. That's crazy.
Miami's the only AFC team playing this year.
Yeah. I mean, that 4:00 game is going to be freaking terrible.
It is. Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush. Set your clocks back to 1968, folks.
It's going to be
bad football.
I think the Giants are going to have to start Locke.
They have to.
I don't think they can go Tommy DeVito. Because I think the league's going to be like, that's an embarrassment.
Talking after the game was over, the way the Giants were talking about how soft they played, you're going to have to play Drew Lock if you're Brian Dable, because you're almost going to get shown the door also, and your buddy Joe Shane's probably going to end up back in Buffalo, coattailing off Brandon Beane once again.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see, but we will have shows all week. Wednesday night is our Thanksgiving Spectacular. I might have my regular co-host. I don't know. I spoke to him today. We'll see if he can do it, if he's up to it. And for those of you who haven't listened to our Thanksgiving Spectacular in years past, you're not going to want to miss that show. But Josh and Aaron will have a show. Myself and Josh Moser on Tuesday. And I'll be with somebody on Wednesday. I don't know who. Then, of course, on Thursday, post-game wrap-up show, myself and Tom. Everyone, have a great evening. Be sure to follow Tom on Twitter, X, whatever we call it, at DolphinsTalk Tom. Follow myself on all social media at DolphinsTalk. Go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com, for all your Miami Dolphins needs. And Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast wherever you're listening to. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. Everyone have a great Sunday night. Have a great start to your week. We'll talk to you again after a while. And folks, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.
Fins up.